A bill that just passed the Florida Senate would send a clear message to people to get out of the way of first responders in the field. A similar bill is working through the House as well, but has a ways to go. Now, if someone gets too close to police or paramedics in the field, they would face a first-degree misdemeanor, and that's punishable by up to a year in prison. Or jail, I should say. WEAR's Yona Gavino is live in the studio now, and Yona, senators were all in agreement about this measure.
They sure were, Bob, and the bill is sponsored by Senator Brian Avila of Miami Springs, but Senator Doug Broxson, who represents citizens of Northwest Florida, threw his full support behind the legislation, and so do the Pensacola Police Department.
14 feet. That's the distance lawmakers believe could make things safer for police officers on the job.
This is really a common sense law with the pressure that police are under now.
I talked to Senator Doug Broxson, who's all for the bill to criminalize people getting too close to police and other first responders on a scene. It comes with a 14-foot rule mandating that people stay back, a distance that Broxson agrees isn't the easiest to enforce.
It will be imperfect unless they rope it off, and you normally don't rope off until after the situation has been resolved. But it is a arbitrary number, and I think I doubt if it will ever be questioned.
It criminalizes getting too close to police officers and other first responders working on the job. Let me show you just how far 14 feet is. 13, 14 right here. It applies to people who approach active crime scenes, and yes, it also applies to members of the media.
I'm not the sponsor, but my guess is that they got with Florida Highway Patrol, they got with the city police, county sheriff's office, and said, what would be the optimum space you need to operate safely?
The bill states anyone who tries to impede, threaten, harass, or physically prevent the first responder from doing their job could face a first-degree misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in prison. Pensacola police officer Mike Wood said bystanders are fine to record officers on the job as long as they are obeying the rule.
If they're videoing the incident, that is fine too. We welcome that because we're doing the same thing. We don't care about that as long as they're back far enough to where they can't interfere with the officer or the arrest.
But there will be instances where empathy takes over.
When people have a family member that's in distress, we totally understand that. We get that. They want to see what's going on. They want to make sure they're okay, and we totally understand that. We're not going to arrest somebody for checking on a family member that's in distress. Now, if there's other situations to where we have had to arrest family members, if we're trying to arrest one family member and other family members get involved in that, then we have to make an arrest. We have to do that sometimes.
Another example, the deadly condo collapse in Surfside, Florida. Nearly 100 people died, and there were cases of desperate family members racing past police just to try to get to their missing or injured loved ones. In these situations, emotional relatives would not face the threat of violation.
A similar bill is now in the House Criminal Justice Subcommittee, but has seen no legislative action since January 23rd. Of course, both chambers would have to work out any differences in their bills and pass them before the legislation can be sent to the governor. Live in the studio, Yona Gavino, WEAR News.